Well, hello, welcome to the channel and thanks for joining me. So today we've got this lovely old Sanyo unit, radio cassette all the way from around 1981, and it's the M4200LG. So lovely looking unit actually. This one's come in needing some work. Haven't had a proper look at it yet, so I thought we'd do that today and fix any issues that we might find. It's generally in really nice condition, as you can see, not too many marks, scuffs or scratches on there. And actually it looks fairly tidy. We will give it a good clean, of course. We'll need to strip it down, no doubt, to service it anyway, but I'll just give you a quick overview of the features. So we've got left and right splittable volume there, a single master EQ via that tone control, again your simple function control, so you've got your tape, radio and sleep mode, fairly usual transport buttons there, but you do notice you have the automatic music select system. So that's when it's playing, you can come down to here to select the next tracks, so it will find the blank parts in the track ultimately and sort of skip tracks for you. So that was quite nice for its time. And just going back up to the controls here, you've got a 4-band radio, so you've got FM, shortwave, medium wave and long wave, and again just your stereo and mono switch on the side. Also with the master tuning control there, you've got the tuning dial itself, but you've got the fine tuner built into the side as well, so that if I just reach across here, you've got your main needle control just on the top, and to the side is your fine control, which is quite a nice touch, and it has a really nice feel to it, very responsive, so that's great. And I'll just show you the back real quick. We'll turn it around, and it's in really nice condition. I can tell you that the battery terminals look nice and clean, they're not too bad at all. There's no damage really to the casing, no cracks or broken parts of plastic. And the aerial is also intact. We'll give it a polish and an oil, but ultimately it's all present and correct, which is how we like them. The aerial tip is present as well. So that's all there is to say on the actual overview there, I think. I've got a note here. I did give it a cursory plug-in a while ago. And it does say that the pots and switches need a clean. The radio bands switch is also interfering with the volumes. There's not much coming through. And the belts and idler are weak, need servicing the cassette deck. So I'll just plug it in and we'll confirm that now. So I've just plugged it into the mains there. One thing I didn't show you just now is that it does have its own built-in transformer there, plus a DC input. And you've also got your external speakers and your usual sort of mic inputs and headphones and stuff, and a 5-pin DIN there as well. So it's quite a nice little bit of kit really for its time. Right, anyway then, let's see if we can get some noise out of this thing, shall we? So first thing we'll do, I think, is actually power it up via the radio switch there. Turn the volume down first so we don't get any shocks, or nasty surprises, I mean, not electric shocks. Right. So you can hear how scratchy that is, even at low volume, but we'll be able to sort that, I think. Good, so there's your FM. Nice. Shortwave, nothing. Medium wave, nothing. Long wave, a little bit. So I think what we'll do, first thing we'll do, I think, is just give that a clean and clean the switches up and get them running, and hopefully then we'll be able to free that up and get some sound through quite nicely. Now if we just move on to the tape though, and excuse my own shadows here today, but basically what we've got here then is we'll open this up. If I press play, it is moving, the spindle is taking up there, but yeah, as soon as I put any pressure on the capstan, it does stop, and then I can sort of give it a spin to fire it up again. So I think, and I'm just doing the same, yeah, as soon as I put any pressure on the spindles, they are actually stopping. So I think the belts probably are present. Just checking them all as I'm talking to you now. Yeah. See, as soon as I put any pressure on, they stop. So the belts are connected. They haven't turned to goo, which is great. But I'd imagine the idler tyres are slipping, the belts are loose and all that sort of thing. So there's no point putting a tape in there. Actually, no, we will do that. Talking myself out of a job here, aren't I? So I'll put a tape in. And I'd imagine it won't play anything because there won't be enough torque. Or, yeah, it's thinking about it, but nothing's happening. So we'll just, yeah, fast forward and rewind. Really laboured and struggling. So, okay, we've kind of got an idea for what's going on there. So I think it's time to take it apart and give it a bit of a clean. And I think the first job is just to disconnect the power there and start working the volume control, because I imagine that it actually will come back quite quickly, and we just need to get any corrosion off of the actual contacts in the potentiometer. So I'm just trying to give that a bit of a clean to full extent of movement. And I'll do the same for the radio selector switch as well, the band switch. Not being too rough with it, but just moving it back and forth a few times just to see if we can clean it up. Let's see if that's made any difference. So we've just plugged it back in, and we'll set the volume to 0 for a moment. Back to radio. And already most of that scratchiness has gone from the pot, which is great. I'll just tune it in actually. Let's have a look. Okay, so we've got radio. We've also now got shortwave. There's long wave. And there's medium wave. There's short wave. So again, they're all present. Yeah, they're all present, but it just needs a bit more of a clean. And I think we'll just spray a tiny bit of contact cleaner, maybe a bit of lube inside the switch once we get that open. Okay, so the first thing is to get this open then. So there we go. It's been a while since this has been open. Quite a reassuring click there from the screws. I'm not sure which knobs have to come off yet or anything, so I'm just going to get the screws out first, and then we'll go from there. I'm going to take the knobs off anyway, because I do need to give them a clean. Just got a few multi-plugs holding it together. So we've got the large one there. We've got one there and top. There we go. So we've got the actual faceplate away now. So you've got your two speakers in there, 3.2 ohm at 3.5 watts. And there's your little control board there for your music system search, which is just on the front panel there. Good stuff. Now, not much else to see on that one. Obviously the microphones are in there as well, and they'll be built into the multi-plugs that come away. So here's the main unit then. I love the pause switch on this, by the way. Massive pause switch on the front. We know the tuning cord works nicely, so that's okay. Righty-ho. So it looks fairly clean in here. Doesn't look too bad. Now, the tape mech shouldn't be too hard to get out, hopefully. Gears there, which is good. So I'm guessing it's just the just the belt that's a bit dodgy on this, and yeah, I can feel it, I can see it, and as we suspected, the belt is still intact, of course, because the motor was trying to operate the spindles, but it's just a little bit past it. So yeah, we'll get that out and replace the belt. Just going to remove this tape counter mechanism. Might as well replace the tape belt while we're at it afterwards, the counter belt. But anyways, let's try and just pop this very gently, pop the dial gauge away. All right, see what that gives us. Right. I'm hopeful that by removing all of this plastic assembly here away, we should be able to access the tape mech removal screws. Obviously we've got to be mindful of the pause setup as well. Right, so far the screws that are coming out are all the same. Must admit, I've not worked on this model before, so it's kind of a little bit of trial and error. Right. There we go. So as long as we don't touch anything else now, we'll be okay. Right, so this one here now is the pause switch. So we'll just unplug the pause switch multi-plug from there, and you can see it's due a clean anyways. So we'll give that a nice good clean. But it's important now not to touch any of the tuning capacitor or any of the dial cord, because we will end up in a situation where we'll end up misaligning everything. So we'll leave that as it is, but we can get to the pots now to give them a good clean, and hopefully we can figure out how to get this mech out. The tip, as it were, for trying to remove mechanisms, usually I find, is look for the plastic supporting posts. If there's a lot of screws and they are similar designs or similar sizes and they're not color coded, then what you want to do is just aim for the ones there we go. Just aim for the ones that look like they're on a plastic post, because ultimately that's what's going to be supporting it. So yep, that's fine. I'm just going to take a couple of quick photos, because we've got a multi-plug going on here. We've got a big multi-plug on the side there, and we've also got the actual motor contact switch cables, which look like they're little spades that go onto the board as well. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of 1, 2, 3, 4 cables plus 2 multi-plugs. Then we can get the whole thing away and give it a clean. But you can already see the state of that belt. I think we literally caught that just in time, I think. Right, good stuff. So I thought I'd just show you very quickly where we're at. So we've unclipped the dial gauge, which is there, so we can give that a bit of a clean in a minute. We then had to remove this little holder for the counter. So there's 2 small screws and 1 long screw, which actually correspond with the long screw goes into there, and the 2 small screws are there. So it's these 3 are for that. Then we've also got 4 screws for the dial gauge, sorry, not the dial gauge, the dial cord sort of pulley mechanism. And you can see why it's nice to get this out, because it's always good to give it a good clean, just to freshen it up, make it more hygienic. It'll look nicer and it'll run better as well. So anyway, here we are then. We're at the deck now. So we've taken out the screw from there, which holds it onto the plastic post, and we're now in a position where we can pretty much turn this around. So you can see the belt there now. Now, as I was saying, what we've basically got here now is we've got a multi-plug that goes to the front there, or to the bottom of the unit really. We've also then got the motor leads, the power and everything go there. Look, so they're like spade connectors. So there's 4 of those. Then on the other side, we've got the multi-loom from the heads, which goes into that connector there. And that's pretty much it. So as I say, everything's geared, so we've got no rubber idler tyres or anything to worry about. We'll go in and give the contact switch a clean for the motor initialization. So we'll sort that. Yeah, just check the mechanism itself seemed to work okay in terms of the buttons, so I'm not going to mess about stripping it down and degreasing it and re-oiling it, because that bit was fine. It does, however, need a darn good clean. Look, you can see the state of that. So we'll sort that out. And basically, it looks like we're just going to have to get these couple of screws out here to give us access to the pulley, or the flywheel just there, look. So we can change. And it's no wonder why the mechanism was struggling to play, right? It's not exactly a tight belt, is it? We won't be using that as a size guide for the replacement, put it that way. Good stuff. So anyway, that's where we're at. So I thought it'd be worth a quick, slightly closer up look for anyone that's interested. Also, while we're in here, we'll also just put a bit of lube inside the pots there. We'll clean around the potentiometers for the tone and the volume control. You can see the stacked pot there for the split volume left and right that we had earlier. Also, we'll sort the record switch out as well. We'll just put a little bit of lube in that. And we'll also clean the wavelength selector, the radio band selector switch, which is down there. And that's pretty much all we want to do really. So I think we'll just crack on and get that done. Right, now to be fair, I don't need to remove the whole mechanism anyway, just to change the belt. I do, however, have to take the plate off. So we'll do that first. So 1. I can also clean the heads on the other side without having to remove the mechanism either. So yeah, that's okay. Okay, so the middle one is Loctited in position, and I think that's basically to hold the free float on the end of the flywheel, just to allow a little bit of end play. It's supposed to be like so, and where it's fallen off, that's why it had lost drive on fast forward and rewind as well. So yeah, okay, well there's the old belt. At least the good news is with that belt being intact, we haven't got to scrape it off everything. The slightly bad news is it is a bit grubby, so we will get in there and actually clean up the pulleys. Just remove the flywheel and be careful to catch the little washer that comes out. Just while we've got access to the motor, I'm going to put a drop of oil on the motor spindle. Careful not to flood it with oil. Don't contaminate the surface for the belt. There we go, that's spinning better already. All right, next job is to clean the pulleys. And so we'll just get some alcohol, and I'm just going to clean, actually I'll clean this one first. You can see how the belt was almost ready to give up. We caught it just in time. There we go. And that narrow part of the Q-tip there is pretty much getting into the running surface. You can also use a bit of string or an old bit of dial cord or whatever to get in there as well. And I'll just clean this pulley whilst I'm here. Yeah, you can see that this really wasn't far from giving up. This belt had almost had it. Got to do the same, of course, for the flywheel, and that is deep actually. That one will need a bit of string in there, so I'm just going to go and get some now, and we'll clean that out. So I've just gone round and cleaned the insides of the pulleys, ready for the new belts. Also, whilst the flywheel's out, it's always a good opportunity to get the capstan squeaky clean. Then we'll put a drop of oil on to reinsert it and lubricate it within the mechanism, but at least we can get to it and clean anything up there. And then once it's through the other side, we can just degrease any oil off of the capstan when it comes through. So that's that. What we'll also do now though, just before we put the belt on and whilst we've got the alcohol out, is we might as well clean the heads, which have got some ferrite deposits on there, but they're not too bad. There we go. But the pinch roller has got quite a bit of ferrite deposit on there. So we'll work that, we'll give that a good clean. This will take a couple of goes, no doubt. It's not dried out though or deformed or anything, so it should be okay to use. It just needs a bit of a clean. If it were a bit more polished up or dried out, you can put rubber renew on there just to refresh the surface of the rubber, but to be honest, this just gets it nice and clean, and it flashes off pretty quickly, so it doesn't do any damage to the rubber. Right, the head's clean, capstan, pinch roller's clean. We'll get that back in, turn it over, and then we'll just get the belt on, I think. So that tiny little drop of oil just on the shaft there. Lovely. Right. And then we'll put that through. Not forgetting that tiniest of washers. Just clean the contact switch as well a little bit. It's been a while since this has been cleaned, so we'll just do that now. Okay, so we've cleaned the pinch roller, we've cleaned the heads, we've replaced the flywheel, cleaned the switch for the motor contact. So next job is to get the belt on. Okay, so we've got the new belt on, and we're just going to clean the switches real quick. So we have the waveband selector switch. So literally just a tiny bit of cleaner, and I'm just going to put a little bit of lubricant in there as well. Right, let's get us back together then. Just making sure that the record slider switch is in the correct position. So that's locked in now. Okay, so the deck's back in now. The motor spindle has been oiled. We've cleaned the heads, we've changed the belt, cleaned the capstan, and we were just going to give that one final clean now that it's through on the other side as well, just to make sure there's no oil left on there. Okay, so we've cleaned the switches and lubricated them a little bit. What else do we need to do? Right, we'll get the dial gauge back on. Now, if you remember, I've got to be very careful not to have changed the position for the tuning capacitor. I'll try and line these holes back up about there, and that should, there we go, beautiful, that's popped back in. And we've got 4 screws to go back onto the board, so we haven't got any magic screws left over, so that's fantastic news as always. So we just screw this down now. Just plug this one back on. Which is the FM and recording light, so that's there. Be worth trying the tape now, I think. So we'll just plug this in. So we'll just pop the tape in now and press play. Okay, that seems to be working. Stop, fast forward, rewind. Beautiful, good. Well, that gives us the confidence to put it back. So I've just cleaned the front panel with the tuner window and everything in there, but I've replaced the counter belt as well, so it was worth just checking that real quick. So fast forward and rewind, all worked nicely. And of course, we just put a tape in now and press play. And the counter's going round. So tickety-boo, perfect. Right, let's get this back together then. And so here it is, the Sanyo M4200LG. It wasn't in terribly bad condition when it came in, to be fair. All of the knobs and switches were present, but the radio didn't work because the band selector switch was corroded, hadn't been used in some time, so none of the power was getting to any of the radio channels or wavelengths. Additionally, the volume pot was really scratchy and noisy, so that was pretty intermittent and needed cleaning as well. And as for the tape deck, well, it didn't play, it didn't rewind, and it didn't fast forward. The mechanism on this is driven by one primary belt, and it wanted to work. You could kind of see a little bit of a take up on the reels occasionally, like a juddering, but it was obvious that the belt was still attached and hadn't quite disintegrated yet, but it did need replacing. So we've just stripped it down, we've given it a good clean, we've cleaned and lubricated the potentiometers and the selector switches, we've cleaned the heads, we've put a drop of oil on the motor spindle, deep cleaned the belt pulleys, put a new belt on for the drive, we've also put a new counter belt on and given it a general clean. We've cleaned the heads and really just gone through it and made sure that it's performing beautifully. So we've got it on now, and you can see that the power light is on and the FM stereo is on. So we'll just turn this up now, just quietly. And we've got radio on FM. And you can see it's picking up lots of different channels. So that's great. And if we go to perhaps long wave even, And medium wave and everything works well as well, that's fine. And you'll notice it's not crackling or fuzzing in between, so that's lovely. So if we just try the tape now then, as I say before, it didn't play at all and didn't fast forward or anything, so we'll put play on. And the take up on that is instantaneous. So there we go. And we'll stop that, now fast forward. Stop, rewind, stop, play. Just brilliant. Good. Well, let's try. What we'll do now, I think, is we'll try the AMSS. So we'll select one track back. And there it is. It's already found the beginning of that song. And it started again. So that's great. So everything works. All the functionality is there. She's clean and tidy. And hopefully that's refreshed her for a good few more years of service. And yeah, it's a lovely little bit of kit, so I'm glad we got a chance to have a look at this. It's quite a rare model, so hopefully anyone that's interested in the quirkier models will get to see what's inside and find that interesting. But as I say, thanks again for watching. Please do subscribe, hit the notifications bell for updates on 8-tracks, personal stereos, boombox repairs and all kinds of stuff. So thanks for coming along, and I shall see you next time. Bye bye for now.